Hello, everybody. It is early February 2019, and we haven't had a GED report in a while, and it's been time. So I apologize for the lateness. You guys have been destroying my inbox, completely obliterating my message boards, and clamoring for another GED report. So here you go. And it's really time to go to the top of the pyramid. Before I start, let me tell you this latest episode, GED Report, is sponsored by tfttravelgroup.com. If you're looking for small, more intimate travel groups, that site is the place to go. They have small, intimate groups, usually around 12 to 15. The biggest group I've seen had 17 people in it, and there are trips so far to Peru and Ecuador that have been fantastic. Ecuador is coming this summer, and they are planning a trip to Medellin, Colombia the next year, and that's going to be great. The other sponsor is udemy.com, udemy.com, and I have an ACT English prep class there, 2.5 hours of my tutoring. I charge people up county $160, $150 an hour easily for ACT tutoring, and it's all yours, depending upon the discount, from anywhere from $10.99 to $29.99, depending upon where you go and how you get to the site. So $29.99 is the most you'll pay for 2.5 hours of ACT prep. The title for this GED report is called The Head of the Snake. And I called it that for a reason, because there are so many crazy things in the economics and especially the political world that wouldn't be possible without the one entity propping up all of the crazy bad things in the United States today. Without this entity propping it up, probably 98% of the craziness wouldn't exist. And why wouldn't it exist? Because there would be no free money to pay for it. Now, some of you know where I'm going with this, and I'm talking about the Federal Reserve, of course, which is neither federal, and it doesn't keep any reserves in the vault. You have a central bank for the United States. And in the old days, the power elite, the top of the pyramid, continually kept trying to get a central bank for the United States. And the populist, free, libertarian country, the people, and many of the politicians were, particularly Andrew Jackson, but he wasn't the only one. They knew that putting in a central bank meant that somebody else other than the people and their elected representatives would be in charge. Because if you control the money, you're going to control just about everything. They knew that you needed a gold standard, because if you had money backed by gold, millennia and eons of history taught us that you needed some kind of commodity-based money system. Otherwise, you just had funny money. You just had slips of paper. Not worth a continental, as the old saying goes. That meant that you had a continental dollar bill printed in the States during the Revolutionary War, and people got paid in continentals, and they didn't mean anything. It was just a piece of paper. People wanted gold and silver. That's real money. So you needed a gold standard, which was a break, a kind of a control on governments printing up funny money to pay for their pet projects that don't represent the will of the people. You also needed independent banking. You needed a system that was not tethered to one place. You didn't want or need a central banking system. Monetary policy would do enough, would do the job. You didn't need a central bank to control stuff. If you have gold and silver controlling it, a gold standard as your backbone of the money system, you were okay. These things, along with farming and how to build a pond and how to raise chickens and what good food is and dietary things and how to live in nature and raise children and make smart young people, young kids. These things were just taught. This is just how it was. That was the real America. As I mentioned in the previous GED report, now in the fake America, nobody knows about any of this stuff. But the head of the snake is the Federal Reserve. The reason why you have people screaming about transgendered bathrooms and college costing $65,000 a year and massive amount of debt, and nobody really seeming to care about that, but not only not caring about that, $65,000 a year is obscene for college tuition. But their college, hell, $25,000 a year is obscene for college tuition. But it's not just the price that bothers people, and it doesn't bother people as much as the other thing that should bother them, and that is going to college and learning from somebody with pink hair and a nose ring that men are evil, or that Western culture is horrible, and intersectionality is a thing. Whatever person's past has been oppressed the most, has the loudest voice and the most depth of opinion. That person goes to the front of the line in terms of who gets to talk and talk about what and how much gravitas they have. Oh, and pronouns. Did I say they? Whoopsies. It, she, she, zer. And you're paying $25,000 to $65,000 for this. Nobody finds that weird. Well, I do, and a couple other people. But the reason why people are so steeped in this nonsense and why it even exists is because of the Federal Reserve. The reason why the United States military is still in Afghanistan. You want something a little bit less obtuse? Okay. United States military in 98 countries? 700 military bases? I'll bet you my numbers are too small. Why are they there? Doing what? Your man's Donald Trump wants to build a wall. It seems to be the only thing that they can't find money for, which is hysterical when they can fund building of walls and schools and killing people in other parts of the world. Been in Afghanistan now for 17 years. The seniors I teach were born when the United States military went into Afghanistan. They don't know anything else. How do they afford it? How can that be fiscally possible? Because we have a Federal Reserve that sells bonds, it sells debt, and then that IOU is now money. We have sold offerings, and now that is now money. It just monetizes debt. Every morning, let's sell some more stuff. They just sell it off. It's just debt. And the real number of debt, what's it up to? 21 trillion? Nobody seems to care. Talking about the debt is a dead letter. Go on Twitter and start harping on the United States debt. And the Obama administration ruined a lot of things. One of them was fiscal sanity, because people were talking about, oh, look at how low the deficit is. Yeah, Obama lowers the deficit to X bazillion dollars, so they're going into debt at a slower speed. And that was only for a couple of years. No one cared. So talking about the debt, even if you hate Trump, talking about the debt, people get no traction on Twitter, on Facebook, anywhere talking about the debt. Because people don't know what debt is. Money is just funny money. It just exists to fund all your special projects and all the things that you need. And it's ruining the country, and it's ruining people's lives as well. So the idea of $21 trillion debt, 23, who knows what it is these days? Really? Do you even care? Here's the weird part. That number is without Social Security and Medicare pointed in. I've mentioned in the previous year, the real number is 200 trillion. That's the real number. So when these bills come due, I don't know what's going to happen. Here's the thing. Fiat currency is what we have now. It's just digits on your card, right? That plastic card, or green slips of paper, or it's just numbers on your computer screen. That's just a number. There's no money in a vault somewhere. You go look at your checking account balance and it says $2,487.98. That's not cash in the vault at your bank. It's just digits. That's all. It's just electronic pulses. Can that last? Maybe it can. We're in uncharted territory. The previous fiat currency debacle lasted, I think it was in the Far East, somewhere around 30, 35 years. We're into 40 plus years. United States. We. Yeah, we are. Our masters are into that 40-year plus experiment. Right? And so in the country that had the smallest government ever created in the world has now become the largest government in the history of the world. And it's a rapacious killing machine that sends digits and green slips of paper and credit cards all over the planet to buy and spend and sell and kill and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And the government is gigantic everywhere. Every state is in debt. And how is that possible? If the amount of money has to match the amount of gold you have in a vault, you can't do whatever you want. You can't go to Afghanistan. Your state government can't prop up the state university's intersectional grievance studies department because the money isn't there. They're going to have to start teaching only math and reading because pink hair nose ring intersectionality grievance department, no money for it. Nobody wants it. It doesn't exist. Not in a real America. Fake America, oh sure. And the Fed and its shenanigans are responsible for all of it. Because the Fed will send money, the federal government will send money to the states, and the states will then chop up the tax pie and give it to their states, the only thing that might save anything is that states don't have a Federal Reserve. Right? States might have to, as Utah and some of the states in the Southwest have already started legislation and getting legislation in order in collecting taxes in precious metals. I think Utah already has it on the books. They'll take tax payments in silver and gold. Someone on my staff should check that out if that's the case. So my point is, the head of the snake, the thing that is funding 99% of all the things in the United States that you don't like exist because the dollars behind it come from the existence of the Fed. It has completely turned American finance into a bloated, cancerous, festering hog of disastrousness, as I try to come up with all kinds of terrible metaphors. It's the Fed. And you'll get called, again, I'm going to be the one who take the heat. I'm telling you what you'll get encountered with if you start talking the way I talk. They're going to call you a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're just one of those conspiracy theorists. Okay. At this stage of the game, conspiracy theorist, bigot, racist, transphobe, everybody is calling everybody names. It's at the stage now where someone calling you a name shouldn't have any effect on you. Okay, then what? I get called a conspiracy theorist all the time. The Federal Reserve story is a bunch of the top bankers in the country go down to Jekyll Island and hatch the plan. They said they were going duck hunting. They swore everybody to secrecy. And of course, now that the story is out, the internet popped the story 10, 15 years ago. G.E.D. Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, is the one you want. There are other good ones. Murray Rothbard has written on this. There's another author whose name escapes me now. But there are other things, but Griffin's book is probably the one that you're looking for. And he lays it out for you. They say they're going duck hunting. They weren't. They say that they were going to just meet socially. And they came up with a Federal Reserve plan, and it put them in charge of your money. And those old money, top of the pyramid types are controlling half of every transaction you make because they're controlling the money that you use. And it's now just funny money. And I don't know this for a fact, but I'd hedge my bets to say that the people at the top, the masters of the universe who run the Fed, I'll bet you they've got an escape hatch when the system goes, when the 200 trillion comes due, or the American dollar is worthless as it was in Zimbabwe. I'll bet they have a plan. I don't know if you have a plan. I think you should have one. I think it would be smart to have one. And being prepared can never let you down. So the dollars that we use, fake dollars in the fake America, you can thank the Federal Reserve for this. So I'd recommend look up G. Edward Griffin's talks on YouTube. The Creature from Jekyll Island is the book you're looking for. And stop calling other people conspiracy theorists, because the conspiracy that got the Aldrich plan, which you now know as the Federal Reserve, going, it worked for them. It didn't work for you, and it won't work in the future for you either. So start reading, start learning. Your homework is read up on the topic and become a smarter person. Thank you. Talk to you next time.